So what are the common causes of meltdowns in children with autism? Well, various triggers, and we know based on the diagnosis of autism, these kids have sensory sensitivities, have difficulty with rigidity and routine. You are going to find you have to look at some of these areas as whether there's been a noise that's bothering them, for example, the vacuum cleaner, for example, or I had a child who was covering his ears and running around the playground suddenly because he was hearing the sound of an aeroplane flying in the sky before the parents could actually see it. So sometimes you don't quite know what the trigger is, and it's a matter of being a detective. But if you know your child has sensory issues or auditory issues, be prepared when you go out to malls and noisy places, and because that can definitely be a trigger for a meltdown. A lot of these children have sensory regulation issues, so when overloaded by activity and sound, or if they're tired or hungry and sleepy, they're more likely to have meltdowns. So what they could tolerate otherwise, they're less likely to tolerate. Frustration, not being able to communicate your needs and not having the language can cause a meltdown. Well, common meltdowns can also be because you're not getting what you want, and that's okay. That's when limits need to be set and kids can be transitioned and prepared, and those meltdowns need to be handled. But if it's a meltdown for a reason you don't understand, you need to be a bit of a detective to try and figure it out. And knowing your child, what their issue is, what is their particular concern, for example, whether it's clothing, for example, the label at the back of a shirt. Some kids, for example, have gluten sensitivity, and having had gluten or dairy added to their diet in a hidden formula, for example, parents have reported back to me that, my goodness, I noticed a change in behavior, or the child became more upset more easily and had more tantrums and meltdowns. So going backwards, but also dealing with it in the moment so that the child does not hurt themselves or hurt anybody else with their meltdown. But going back and really investigating or finding out what your child needs to prevent the triggers, what stimulates this upset behavior is very important.